mean, Riley Cooper, I mean, like, that dude deserves a statue. I mean, like,
number one on your speed dial.
Hey, I'll tell you what, like, I mean, I didn't know until a couple days after the fact. I was like, wait a minute, is he the MVP or like we got the all-tournament team?
No doubt about it.
And then Ty Floyd, when I sure got 17, and like stole it from him. But I was like, when has a pitcher like been a part of like 5 of the 6 wins in Omaha? I mean, what a performance!
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time.
Pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Sharp a little late, boys, at the spring game, obviously, as you can see. Couple of booze cruises here to do. Let's do it. Cruise. Grand salami to the boys. Finally back on track. And I got another one coming. Don't you think I don't? And that's how we roll in Tiger Stadium.
Just watching the spring games that were on television, one thing that jumped out about your squad is your quarterback room is very talented compared to a lot of the league and a lot of the country. I wonder, is it easier to recruit that position when you have talent or when you don't have talent? Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question, and I thought, my God, if she gets offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast, no matter where we at, we live. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show. Yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right.
Nice start. Big day.
Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. All right, welcome into a Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show live here on our campus at Click Here Digital. As always, you can slam that like button, share button, comment button as we get going. Built by every day by RMB Builders, our friends over at RMB, rmb-builders.com, and always on Instagram at RMB Builders. Our phone line is brought to you by our friends over at Southern Regional Medical Center. Charlie Harvey, Jason Ramazan, BJ, and the crew bringing you our phone line jam-packed today as we'll talk to Brooke Kirchhofer from NewOrleans.Football at 7:45. We will get her thoughts on last night's Saints win 2017 in a very boring, nasty, gross football game. We'll talk to her about it coming up here. What's the Saints' problems on the offensive line? What can Alvin Kamara do for this offense as he'll be back, not the next game, but he'll be back on the 4th game of the season. But the Saints 2-0. We'll talk to Brooke about that coming up here at 7:45 this morning. 8:15, Wilson Alexander from The Advocate and NOLA.com will stop in, and we will talk to Wilson about yesterday's press conference with Brian Kelly and get linked up with him about the build-up for Arkansas coming in town this Saturday for an evening kickoff inside Tiger Stadium. Lloyd is here. Stewie is here. And we've got a new member of our staff here that'll be coming in a couple of mornings to help us out with the chat, to keep us up with the comments. We got our guy Austin Gayron from Click Here Digital will be in the studio with us a couple of days a week, making sure we stay up on the chat. And so get inside the chat. If you've got a good question about what's going on in the show, we'll make sure and have those read for a specific segment for Austin here. Brian Kelly was speaking to the media yesterday. We will hear from him. Obviously, some concerning news on Greg Brooks, as Kelly announced yesterday that Brooks would be out with a medical emergency. That he did not specify any details, but did say it was a family matter and was kind of pressed on it a little bit and said, look, it was not around Greg's family. It is dealing with Greg. So whatever's going on with Greg Brooks. I listened to Sam Pittman's press conference yesterday. He led off his press conference talking about Greg Brooks. Brooks, of course, a New Orleans native, but played at Arkansas for 3 years before transferring over to LSU to finish out his collegiate career. And Sam Pittman had some pretty nice, glowing remarks to say about Brooks and his time at Arkansas, and was really hoping to find out more information before he made any more comments. So obviously the situation with Greg Brooks is much more serious than football. So hopefully he can improve and find his way back to the field, because right now it seems like he's a long way from it. Obviously, we're brought to you. Remember, follow us on social media at Culotta Show on all of our platforms, and you will see our partnership with Tiger Air. Of course, Tiger Air is online at tigerair.com, where you can learn about it. You've heard them talk about the air conditions that they put inside of football helmets. They've got a lot of sports stuff coming up, but obviously they made their name with the football helmet. This is the Zephyr standard that you can clip onto your hat, you can clip onto your shirt, you can clip on anywhere to keep you cool in the deer stand, in the outdoors, wherever you may need it. Check it out, tigerair.com. All right, so Brian Kelly yesterday speaking with the press. We will start with his opening comments. With Coach Kelly came to the podium and opened it up 6 minutes. I mean, it was a hell of a difference between Pittman and Kelly. Pittman just sits down at a table. He's got an Arkansas football T-shirt on. He just kind of sits there, and he's just kind of looking at the room.
Yeah. Questions?
Everybody just kind of somebody just shoots a question, you can't even hear the question. The guy's not mic'd up. I mean, whoever's asking the question, the press member's not even mic'd up.
The substitute teacher.
I mean, it's like a 1980s press conference.
We don't know why he's here.
And then you get to BK, and I mean, it's like a presidential press conference. I mean, he walks into the room. He's on the podium.
State of the Union.
Opening statement.
Monologue.
Taking pictures.
Here's what I got for you boys.
So here's his opening statement yesterday, and does give an injury report as well, and includes some Greg Brooks news.
All right, good afternoon. We'll begin with a recap from this past weekend. Going on the road, playing an 11 a.m. game requires for our team to think the right way. I thought they did a great job of thinking right about the trip itself. It's easy to think about how difficult and how early, and instead they thought about it as, a great opportunity to be the first game up, to go on the road and play 4 quarters with the competitive edge that they've been looking for in terms of playing for 4 quarters. And there's always that sense of playing early and getting back home. So I thought they did a great job of, thinking the right way. And then, you have to flip that switch from, preparation to performance. And to do that, you've got to play with a sense of urgency, and you've got to have the emotional control, but play with an edge. And they got off to a fast start, played with great effort and enthusiasm. There was really an attention to the details out there, and finished strong. So that's what we're looking for from our football team. That's an identity that we want to create each and every week, and certainly one that we believe that we can be. Now it's about building on that and looking for that consistency. There were obviously some great performances, as highlighted by Jayden Daniels and Malik Neighbors being named the SEC Co-Offensive Players of the Week. The the play of the two of them, was certainly elite. Daniels, 425 yards of total offense. You know the numbers. But I think if you really look at it closely, some of the things that maybe don't get the attention was his presence in the pocket and how many times he got hit after delivering, a great throw. Sometimes we cut it off and see the ball in the air, but you don't see the play all the way through. And made some great throws under duress. Those are NFL throws, some of the ones that he made, not backing down, staying in the pocket, knowing that he was going to get hit and still delivering the ball with great accuracy. And Neighbors, obviously, his ability to handle any coverage variations. And look, the things that sometimes don't get talked about, he maintains space on the field. He carves out an opportunity to catch the ball. Many times we see defenders squeeze out offensive players. Malik is strong and physical as well, and he can hold his line and give the quarterback an opportunity. So hats off to both of those guys. Great work, and look to do the same. I don't know that there's any reason why they can't continue to play at that level. Obviously, defensively holding Mississippi State to 7 total yards on their first 3 possessions. I thought defensively coming together, allowing just under 100 yards rushing in the SEC in terms of anything that you do is a job well done. Third down, we were really efficient. We got off the field. And again, harassed the quarterback. Got the quarterback down, had sacks, did the things that you need to do in the SEC. You've got to play that kind of defense. So all in all, a great performance on the road, and now something that we need to certainly build on moving forward. Get a chance now to play another SEC opponent in Arkansas. I think we all know about this game. It is a hard-fought, physical game. Each and every year, I think the last 3 years have been decided by a total of something like 9 points, I think. It's a rivalry trophy, battle for the boot, annual trophy between the two schools that started back in the mid-'90s. So I know our guys understand who they're playing and the tough games that we've had with them, including last year. So they'll be prepared for that. Now it's about preparing the right way again this week, and then, playing with that competitive edge. So looking forward to that. They've got some really good players. Sam Pittman does a great job. Have a ton of respect for Sam, and he'll have his team ready to play. Bouncing back after last week's loss, he'll have his team ready to go, and we'll have to respond in kind. KJ Jefferson, the quarterback, 3-year starter. I think we all know about his size and strength. He can run the football. Raheem Sanders, A.J. Green, 2 outstanding backs, Armstrong. And the defense, although a new defensive coordinator, outstanding coordinator coming from UCF. He's had great success, great pedigree in the SEC, was with Kevin Steele at Auburn. So we know we've got our hands full. So certainly looking forward to being in Tiger Stadium this Saturday. We're going to take advantage of being there because we won't be back for a little bit. So we'll talk about that and make sure our guys relish the opportunity of playing at home. We had a couple of guys that did not play. I'll talk about them briefly. First of all, Omar Spates had that what we felt like was a lower body injury. I would list him now as probable. Ovia Gufu, the same thing, lower body injury. I'd list him as probable. Same thing with Mason Taylor. All of those will be probable. Greg Brooks is out. Again, I don't have a lot that I can report on Greg. It is a family matter, so I am not going to speak on the family's behalf. If there's anything that I can get to you further after I speak with the family, we'll certainly give you information. But Greg is dealing with a medical emergency, and he will not be available. So with that, we'll open it up to questions.
About it in retrospect.
Brian Kelly with a opening statement, a very informative opening statement yesterday at his press conference going into this Arkansas game where KJ Jefferson, Sam Pittman, and the Hogs will be in Baton Rouge. As he said, this will be the last home game for a minute. They'll be 2 weeks away from home as they'll travel to Oxford next weekend for a game versus Ole Miss, and then Missouri will be hosting LSU on October 7th before LSU gets back home versus Auburn on October 14th. So if you plan on getting out this weekend, this will be the time that you see them for the next 2 weeks in Baton Rouge. As for the next couple of weeks, they'll be away from Baton Rouge. Obviously, unpacking a lot of what Brian Kelly said in that opening statement, kind of rewinding to the start of it and recognizing his quarterback and wide receivers, Jayden Daniels and Malik Neighbors, on their performance on Saturday versus Mississippi State. And you saw that the league recognized what Daniels and Malik were able to accomplish. And really, when you looked around the country yesterday, after people had a chance to digest the college football weekend, you really started to see the flowers being thrown at the quarterback wide receiver down at LSU. Kirk Herbstreit put out his top 5 performances of the weekend. He had Daniels and Neighbors in that mix for their performance after Neighbors caught all 13 of his targets for 239 yards. He also scored twice in that win. Those were Daniels' 2 touchdown passes after he threw nearly a perfect day at quarterback. He was 30 of 34 for 88% completion percentage, 361 yards and a couple of scores. Both of them went to Neighbors. Those guys recognized by the league, and really from a national standpoint, people starting to pay attention to LSU offensively. We mentioned to you they're number 1 in the league right now as far as total yards, and they're right behind Ole Miss in scoring as Ole Miss's offense is putting up over 50 right now, where LSU's is averaging 45 points per game. But when you look around college football, this is a top 12 offense after 3 weeks of action, and it looks like they're only getting better. We mentioned yesterday that they're still, have not found a role for a guy like Aaron Anderson. You got to imagine Anderson, once he does find his place in this offense and wherever he begins to fit in and becomes, somewhat of a focal point or just a part of the action, that will only improve this group and this unit. More from Kelly yesterday. Here he was speaking about defensively some new faces that you saw out there. Obviously, Whit Weeks had a great week versus Mississippi State, the leading tackler. A lot what we mentioned with Whit Weeks yesterday and just watching him play, his aggression, his speed, and the first play that you saw him where he plugged the gap, that was something that, you've been looking for out of that position. And Kelly mentioned that play in seeing it real time and what Weeks brings to the lineup. Here he is talking about his defense over the weekend.
About it in retrospect?
Yeah, we did. I mean, we had a lot of confidence that, Braden Swinson would be able to go in there and play at a high level. We had during the year, Whit Weeks, we knew what we had. We had a young player, certainly a true freshman, but, he can run all over the field. He's extremely athletic. I think you get a little concerned when you play a lot of true freshmen. Certainly in the back end of your defense. Ryan Yates came in and played really well. He was clean. He was disciplined in his alignments. He was assignment correct. But, you got 3 true freshmen on the field. On the road in the SEC, I don't think you're running around going, oh, this is great. But we have confidence in them that they could go out and play well. I think what it shows more than anything else, and Coach and I were talking about this, Coach House, is that we have more than 11, and we need to play them more. It's kind of like what we talked about the week before with Guillory and certainly Jefferson at the tackle position. They didn't play enough the week before, where they played much more, and you can see how that helps our rotation at the defensive line. I think you'll see now that we can play a lot more at the linebacker position and the safety position.
Yeah, very refreshing to hear, obviously, about the players, the selections, the options that they have, and the new faces that you saw over the weekend, and the improvement that LSU was playing with because of it. Here he is talking about Spates and where he fits in moving forward.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the guy that's really settled this for us in terms of, whoever he's been with has been Greg Penn. Greg's been outstanding. He's a settling factor out there for us. He gets guys lined up. He communicates very well. And that's a guy that we want to keep on the field. So, we'll be moving guys around to complement that. And I think, the best rotation keeps Greg on the field, and then we'll move guys in and out with him.
More from the defensive side, Stewie. This is 5. This is Kelly talking about the return of Mason Smith and just what he's added defensively.
You need to get comfortable in where you think he's at.
Yeah, I think he's getting there. I mean, we saw some things that he wasn't doing against Grambling that now he's starting to impact the game a little bit more, and I think that'll continue to grow as he continues to play himself in a position where he can play at a high level each and every snap. So, he's physically a presence in there, and we expect him to continue as the season progresses. He's going to be an impact player for us. So feel good about where he's gone over the last couple of weeks, and expect to see more of him.
Here's Kelly talking about another standout from Saturday on the defensive side. Savion Jones, defensive end, junior defensive end, had a really big day.
You seen out of him?
Just moving better. Here's a bigger guy that is starting to come into his size. He put on a lot of weight in the offseason. Good weight, but he's now having to play more football than he's ever played. He's starting to get a sense of how to train and put himself in a position to handle himself with this new role that he has. And I think he's only going to continue to get better. We saw that suddenness. We saw that reaction that we weren't getting earlier in the year. The game's starting to get easier for him again, and I just think he's going to continue to get better.
Yeah, Savion Jones also kind of going back a couple of comments to what he was saying about Greg Penn. Penn is a guy that's really kind of –
I would have expected him to go to Greg Penn earlier, like Florida State game.
Yeah, it was head scratching on why it took him a minute, but it seems like now he's.
I mean, you got to go Greg Penn and whoever else on side of him, Whit Weeks or Omar Spates, they rotate, I guess. Yeah.
Coach, I've seen enough from Whit Weeks
to play him the whole game
to say that is the linebacker. I don't know what. I mean, look, Spates might be hurt, and he is obviously hurt. But he could have been hurt in the first
game
time we saw him.
First 2 games.
Right. And if that's the fact, then understandable. But when you look at Whit Weeks and Spates play after seeing 2 games of Spates and 1 game of Weeks, if Spates was hurt, okay, because it's a totally different prospect.
Yeah.
It's a totally different player. I mean, that is
you could even say the same for Greg Penn. If you were watching the 3 games that they played, you watch Greg Penn and Omar Spates. Greg Penn's the one making the impact on the defense, not Omar Spates. So.
And it's the perfect 2 games to kind of get what Weeks involved, right? When you kind of know what you're getting with Mississippi State and Arkansas, the style, stylistically, what they do offensively, where you're going to need him against KJ Jefferson because you know what, you didn't get that opportunity last year where they had to put in their backup. I don't know his name, but. Because KJ Jefferson didn't play, remember?
Malik Hornsby.
Yeah, Malik Hornsby, the track guy.
Run.
Yeah.
Well, who else can run? Turns out Perk can go too. And so when you have those kind of, when you've played a team like this before, stylistically it feels like it helps to have a Whit Weeks and a Greg Penn where it feels like a little bit more run heavy than pass heavy. So you know what you get from the linebackers, and then that lets Harold go eat because when it wasn't Greg Penn, that was the Perk in the middle experiment.
Mm-hmm. Here's more from Brian Kelly. This is 12 of him talking about defending KJ Jefferson.
Year. Well, I think it's like any other quarterback, right? I mean, when you get into the final year and where you feel like this is your year, you want to do well, and I think he certainly feels like this is his year to showcase himself. So, I thought maybe if you look at the last quarters, he's trying to make plays, but he's got a lot of new players around him as well, So it's not all about him, I mean, he's got some young players that have to develop, or new players that have to develop around him. But he's still the big, physical, athletic quarterback that scares you. He's hard to bring down. He's got a live arm, and we're going to be prepared for him to play his best against us.
That was Kelly talking about defending KJ Jefferson, the big quarterback from Arkansas. Man, leading into that BYU game, he was playing as good at that position as anybody.
Kind of struggled a little bit against BYU.
They struggled a little bit. They had 14 penalties.
Yeah.
Versus BYU, which is
running back was out too.
Right, they had some guys out, and they're getting some guys back this week. But yes.
KJ ran it 13 times, so they ran it. They had Rashad Dubinion run it 13 times. KJ Jefferson ran it 13 times, and they threw it. So 40 total carries on offense and 35 pass attempts. Threw for 250, 1 touchdown, had a long of 30. So I mean, it feels like the same Arkansas that you've always seen. You know it's going to be physical, and last year, it feels like you could almost throw it out because everybody had the flu and it was a weird early
game.
Kick, and it just felt like a different game. Happy to get out of there with the win, but LSU that's the outlier. That game and the A&M game feel like the outliers of the season, right?
Yeah.
Where you didn't really see LSU ever get off the mat. You have an all-time performance from Harold Perkins to kind of will your team to victory. That's when Matt House started to get a lot of run. You got to hope you keep him.
Yeah.
As a defensive coordinator, so it feels like you're going to have a good game plan going into Arkansas because of what Matt House did last year. And KJ Jefferson, you know what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
There is that highlight of him getting a free runner come straight at him. Have you seen that? I think it was week 1 or 2. Free shot, a safety has a free shot on him. KJ just bodies him, bounces right off.
Backs up and like,
what are you doing? But that's what you're scared of, because if you can extend and make plays, that's when Arkansas's offense is at its best.
Harold Perkins, second week in a row, looking pretty good on the edge. Here is Kelly talking about where Perkins fits in moving into late September.
So I think with Perk, I think just playing with that energy, playing with that edge, he's got to learn where that balancing act is, right? We don't want to get him in a position where he's taking a swing at somebody, he's out of the game, but he's got to play with energy. He's got to play with emotion. That's how he plays the game the best, and I thought he brought that. I thought he brought that competitive edge, and that's going to put him in a position to get to the quarterback and set the edge and run people down, and you just got to play. He's just got to play that way, and I think he was tweaking it and trying to find that. Early on, he was playing inside. He was thinking a lot. He was slowing down. I think he's coming back to finding what that balance is. Yeah, I mean, look, the first penalty on the goal line, that was on our center. The center did not snap the ball on the clap. Will gets called for a procedure penalty. The holding, we know all about holding, right? It is debatable on the call. The only one that I had a conversation with him is the retaliatory action with the helmet. And I said, look, you wear 7 and you're a captain. You got to make better decisions. But that's the first time I've ever talked to him about making a bad decision going into his sophomore year. So I think we're on the plus side when it comes to that with Will Campbell.
Brian Kelly speaking about 2 of his underclass superstars, and Harold Perkins and Will Campbell. It is amazing that Campbell
where would you be without those 2?
I think he just had to think about the game just to kind of like
calm down.
Come on, come sit down.
I need you next week.
Yeah.
Come see, bro.
And Will Campbell, I think that we talked about a little bit on Sunday night. I think it was a mindset thing. Just let's go. You kind of wanted to see it if you're watching from an LSU perspective, where it was be mean, be dirty, get your swagger back a little bit.
If he drops that helmet, throw it. I don't care.
Yeah, you can take out the game. You can take you out. Yeah. But it was a tone setter, and I think it was a tone setter on both ends. But you wanted to see that from Will Campbell, especially the way that they dominating.
Yeah.
Kind of feeling myself a little bit.
Feeling good, Coach. Sorry.
All-time helmet toss. Did he throw it? I've never seen the video.
I haven't seen it either. I've just heard that he went Turley.
Yeah.
That's what I heard too. Now, Turley, they had like 4 different angles of it. It was all
He
time.
stayed in the middle of the field.
Thrown into the stands.
I mean, he threw it like a discus.
I was about to say it was an Olympic throw. He shot putted that thing out of there.
Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Hughes Mechanical. Our friends over at Hughes Mechanical online at hughesmechanical.net. You can search, you can check them out online, or you can get in touch with them by calling 225-658-2147. They are a trusted Daikin dealer over at Hughes Mechanical, where they can service your residential or your commercial air condition. Online, hughesmechanical.net, 225-658-2147. Get in touch with Travis Hughes and their crew today. What a great, experienced, trusted staff. Been doing it for a while. Located in Zachary, but serving all of South Louisiana. Make sure and tell them you heard it here on the Culotta Show, as you can find Hughes Mechanical at hughesmechanical.net online. All right, let's go over to some of the comments. Austin, how we looking over there? As we got any, I see that the chat is rolling here on this Tuesday morning. We'll get to some offensive comments from Brian Kelly, but what's the chat looking like right now?
I'm seeing a lot of people thanking Lloyd for his picks earlier this week, betting the under and taking the money line.
Little Saints money line, free money. Nothing like getting paid to watch football.
Yep, and I saw a few other people talk about it too. I read also in the Instagram comments, Commander Rhino and Forever Jack's mom think Alabama shouldn't be ranked in the top 10. They point out how Alabama didn't dominate an SEC team like us. Thoughts on that?
I would agree with that. I would, through watching Alabama the first 3 weeks of the season, they don't look like a top 10 team.
They haven't lost
And Milroe
yet.
was suspended for sure.
For sure.
Like,
absolutely. Like, I mean, we may get a lot of stuff wrong on this show. One thing we were dead on accurate about is that Jalen Milroe, something happened to him last week where that was an internal decision, and it was not because he was benched for his play. I mean, because after watching those two bums next to him and watching him play, like,
Saban was in hell after that game.
I mean, that was a torture chamber for him last week.
Did you see him walking in the tunnel? He looked like he had been like fighting for the last 3.5 hours.
Because Milroe fit last week's game perfect, as good as any as you'll find all season long for Alabama.
Dude, he was about to lift that suspension.
Tuck it and run.
Yeah,
I mean, like just
speculation.
Run
right?
QB draw. Yes, this is purely speculative.
Reckless speculation.
But the first thing he did when he opened up his press conference yesterday was,
we're going back to Milroe.
Let me announce the start. I know you're going to ask me about the quarterback. Let me get out in front of it. Milroe's our guy.
He didn't want to have to answer to Peepaw again. Peepaw, we didn't set the edge. We didn't play well on the offensive line. I know everything you're going to say. What else you got to say about me? Pee-wee. That's what it was.
Yeah,
Pee-wee.
that was a great moment.
Pee-wee is an all-time call-in moment. I can't believe Saban still takes calls.
I can't either.
Hey.
But it looks like he's on the – I don't want to say – obviously, LSU's going to play Alabama, and it's going to be tough, and Alabama's always going to be there at the end of the year, but it feels like Saban is – I don't know what we got. Mm-hmm. I don't know what we got this year.
This is the first time he's been in this situation in a long time, you can tell.
And then he had to suspend his quarterback.
I would also say this. His coaching staff is no good.
That's what's making it – well,
in comparison's sake.
What did you hear what Lane Kiffin said?
Yeah, that they
It doesn't
saying like
look
a
like-
change in
yeah.
defensive coordinator, and I think that's Lane playing like really intense
he's playing
mind
4D chess
with Kevin Steele. But like when you watch them, like
They are running like a different scheme.
That's a
they're
Saban
not.
scheme.
I mean, like their offensive line is
It is.
not good. Their defensive defensive line is not as good as they've been. Their linebackers are being pushed around. I mean, it's just a different. Tommy Reese is very overrated.
Oh, Tommy Reese is.
You know
Dude,
what I mean? Like,
that video of him on the phone with Jalen Milroe, and God.
that's a meme. That's a great meme.
Dad, can you come get me, please?
I'm
Right.
drunk. God, I need somebody to pick me up.
I shouldn't have drank this.
Yeah,
tonight.
I don't
Can
feel good.
Somebody get me Marcus Freeman on the phone, please.
I don't know why I left.
I shouldn't have smoked with y'all.
I mean,
Yeah.
like
Dude, if he was
nobody pays attention up there like they do down here.
Oh yeah, they know where I live in Alabama.
Where my kids go to school.
Shouldn't have took those shrooms.
Oh God, that did too much. This is too much. Who said to take an eighth?
But look at Saban after the game. He's just.
Oh my God, I haven't seen it. He looks like he
He
played.
just looks old, man.
That was hell.
He just looks old.
Dude, the picture of that man when Saban's addressing the team at halftime and he has to stand on the stool.
Oh God!
Have you seen the guy that has to hold it for him? He's got the life of he's got the Alabama program in his hands. Saban's up on a stool and this guy's holding it so Saban can't fall over.
He's got the state of Alabama in his hands.
Exactly. He's got the dynasty there, and he is so focused. He's not even looking at Saban. He's just looking at this thing he has to hold and his vice gripping it. Like if Saban falls off the stool, I'm not even jail. You're going to you're going to
dead.
G-Bay.
You're Steve Bartman.
Yeah, you're going to G-Bay.
I mean, they're going to hunt you down.
You'll be known forever.
But I mean, like, think about Alabama's staff of the past.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's so hard to turn it over that
many times. How many head coaches have they had on their staff at any given moment? Right now,
I can't think of one.
I mean, their defensive and offensive coordinator are going to be out of a job in a year.
I thought Kevin Steele was a good hire for them too. It felt like it made sense. He's been with Saban a couple of times.
Did you? I kind of thought that was Saban. Like
it was a retread for sure.
Old.
Right, but who was there?
But what's great? That's right. That's exactly right. Like
he's been through it.
What has been great for Saban is that his ability to adapt.
And
find the next guy. Find the progressive dude. Oh my God, that guy, dude.
He was so nervous. He's not even looking at the thing.
No way.
I gotta look away.
I mean, that's catching a punt. I mean, just like
please, everybody's looking at me. Oh God.
Don't drop, Grandpa.
Yes, don't fall.
Or Saban is a half of an inch from taking one misstep to breaking his neck.
Savvy move.
It's all your fault.
Savvy move by USF to not have a stool in there for him. Oh, we forgot it. We all got cameras.
But I agree with that. I don't think that Alabama is a top 10 team.
Can I say one thing? Just as you saw LSU get better, Alabama, they got the horses.
Mm-hmm. They could get better.
They're going to get better.
I mean, Dallas Turner did have 2.5 sacks.
That's what I'm saying. They're gonna be there at the end of the year. They're never not.
Oh, no doubt. No, I know
there's
that.
not as dominant.
But there's
so much around college football right now where if Alabama was dominant, they'd be far and away the best team in the country. But now they're just in the mix with everybody's fighting. It's just a scrum. Mm-hmm. It's a free for all in the parking lot. We're at Shady's right now.
They're Tiger Woods post wreck.
Yeah,
don't not a lot of fear anymore.
I don't care about
wow,
anything.
that dude's human.
He's gone.
Like holy cow! I thought he was a robot.
I think I could win the Masters.
Like Saban doesn't have a quarterback. That makes him.
It makes him mortal.
It makes him mortal. That's right. I mean, it makes him appear. I mean, it makes him one of us. It's like, hey, how you like that?
But he's been through this before. He's had teams where he's had
Blake he had Sims. Lane Kiffin coaching Blake Sims,
and now you see Lane.
Right?
You see Lane Kiffin see that Superman can bleed. He's taking his shots to be like, oh, he's vulnerable.
I mean, when you got Lane Kiffin coaching Jacob Coker, it's different.
Where is Jacob Coker these days?
He's selling insurance.
Selling insurance somewhere
for sure. Let's see where he's
at. A tied national championship quarterback.
State Farm.
He feels like Montgomery.
Just he probably gets a little sweet, gets to go to the box,
absolutely
sell some insurance.
Oh,
I can still sling
tell you
that
about
thing.
that Auburn game.
Yeah, national champion.
Oh God, he's selling insurance.
Yes, book it.
How predictable.
Insurance producer in Mobile.
Hell yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Do you think he works remote or no?
We should call him.
Yeah. Can I get a policy?
Call him.
Jesus.
But I mean,
does he still have the Bama swoop?
Oh, he's got to.
Doesn't have a picture on him.
Did you hear Pat McAfee in front of the student section? Did you watch Pat McAfee's broadcast of the LSU Texas game?
No. LSU Texas?
Oh, I'm sorry. Alabama,
Texas.
Alabama. On ESPN2, they let McAfee pretty much do his show.
Oh, yeah. They do it on Friday,
right?
and then they bring him on the sideline. They did it last year. It's awesome.
It's awesome. And he is standing in front of the Bama student section.
Oh, God.
And they're like behind him, like, just being a student section, being on TV. And the crew is just like clowning their haircuts.
Oh, of course, yeah. We've never seen anything
look
like
at all these
this.
robots.
Yeah.
Like, look at all these people. They all look the same.
Generic
like
one, Alabama fraternity.
McAfee's like, the commitment to the hair swoop down here is something that is just amazing.
Have to have it.
I mean, he was like, look at the sea of the swoop. I mean, and they're all like, yeah! Bama!
Don't even know you're being made fun of.
Like, look at all these D-bags up here.
Yeah. What fraternity are you in? All of them?
But Austin, what else we got over there? Now that we just dumped on Bama.
I know. It's a dangerous game to play.
That was so good.
It was fun.
We got a question from Trey Guy. Why is Mason Smith questionable for the Arkansas game? Was he injured in the Mississippi State game?
Mason Smith is question. I think he said Mason Taylor.
Mason Taylor.
Mason Taylor is questionable for the Arkansas game, dealing with the ankle injury from Grambling a couple of weeks back. Which, look, we spoke a little bit about it yesterday, and by no means do I think that LSU is better offensively without Mason Taylor in the game. I think Taylor is one of the top tight ends in the league, and he is, without question, Jayden Daniels feels very secure with him just being there. I do believe him being out of the game last week opened up the field for Jayden Daniels. Now, that is something that Daniels has experienced and tasted, and I think you can throw Taylor back in the lineup, and he still sees the benefit of throwing the ball over the top of defenses. Look, Mason Taylor makes LSU's offense better, and you want him out there.
Consistent.
I would also say this. I know Mac Markway got lit up on national television. I mean, he had that freshman moment, where you just dread having the head coach in your ear at a timeout, knowing that ESPN has found you and shooting your image all over the country. I mean,
Yes,
it's just
sir.
that's a bad, yeah, right.
Yeah,
sorry, Coach.
Good
Yeah.
Lord, throw the towel over my head.
What do you think Big Mac said to him when he got home? Like, oh, I'm gonna get it from my dad
But-
too.
Talk good, daddy.
Markway stayed out there. He competed. He battled.
Battled.
They got a good group of freshman tight ends,
Yeah.
man. I mean, I know that they targeted Kamorian Pimpton late in that game, and he got some run. But
Jayden was trying to give it to him in the red
it's just a
zone.
matter of time.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just a matter
he'll
of
get
time.
one.
He
but
didn't
yeah,
look for it, though.
He's
hasn't-
getting his reps. He's
yeah,
getting his reps.
He hasn't developed, he hasn't been that guy that maybe we thought he would be, like, early on, be an impact player. But it's like you said, it's coming. It's coming.
No. He keeps getting his opportunities.
But
He's too good. He'll pop.
As much as you want to give, say that it was Jayden Daniels that kind of saw the field a little bit differently, I think that it forced Matt Denbrock to call a little bit of a different game, where you put running backs in motion, you put wide receivers in motion. It just gave you a different look at. It was kind of the same thing that you did with Mason Taylor, but it was Diggs going in motion, which kind of gives you a little bit more of a pause, just because you're scared to get. Is he going to turn this thing up the field and run a wheel route, or is it Mason Taylor just sitting there to? Okay, I can dink it to him.
Well, the first thing I thought that or what they did for the first time, I thought on Saturday, was that they recognized one-on-one and they made you pay for it.
Oh, and Mississippi State wasn't changing.
No, for whatever reason, and that's on them.
They were blitzing
and
a lot.
And good for LSU saying, if you're going to stay in this, we'll be up 40 throwing it. You know what I mean? If that's what you want to do, then
we're committed to
this
this pass
is what
game.
you are. This is what the defense is giving the offense, and I think that's really, to me, if you continue to do that, you're better one-on-one than a lot of the teams you're going to play, right? I saw Alabama lose one-on-ones to South Florida on Saturday again.
No separation.
Right? I thought that the Texas game was just kind of okay, that's good competition. They've recruited at a high level. Maybe you're just kind of looking at two teams that are even to one another. Then you see them play down in South Florida, and they can't pull away from anybody.
Scared out there.
Well, that just goes to quarterback play, right? They're
I'm
still
not even
running.
talking about that. I'm talking about on the defensive backfield too.
Yeah, they were getting beat.
Outside of Kool-Aid
Was getting beat too.
Nobody is guarding anybody one-on-one for LSU.
And they had their Caleb Jackson moment.
If they get into that one-on-one and you're recognizing it in game 3, by the time you get to game 9, this should just be a simple you're making eye contact with one another.
If they put number 3, that cornerback number 3 on Alabama on Malik Neighbors, it's gonna be a long night.
Yeah, but I'm saying put number 3 on Brian Thomas.
It's gonna be a long night either way.
I love the way they're incorporating Chris Hilton.
Mm-hmm.
4 targets a week, once a quarter, that's perfect. And, sprinkle in 6-7 target a game and every now and again. He is going to do something in a big moment to help LSU. There is going to be a big moment that Chris Hilton makes. Chris Hilton reminds me of Demetrius Byrd.
Ooh.
Where he was a guy that, think about that Bama game in 2007, where LSU kind of, they started to take on water a little bit offensively. Outside of early Doucette, they were really kind of reeling, right? Like trying to find their way.
The game was getting away from them.
And then out of nowhere, Demetrius Byrd just runs a go route. Flynn puts it on his number, and LSU just right immediately gets back into the game.
Maybe a little Ruben Randall-esque.
Right? Yeah, sure. A guy that can make just these out of nowhere plays, and you wonder, like, how do you not incorporate this guy a little bit more each week? Well, I mean, around Chris Hilton, you've got Malik Neighbors, you've got Brian Thomas, you've got Logan Diggs, you've got Mason Taylor, you've got Aaron Andrews, you got guys that need to have touches, but you've always got this consistent piece.
You found your three
that you can count on. That, like I said, you can hit him in the first quarter. Yeah. And he can beat you over the top for a 60-yarder. You can forget about him the second and third, and the last possession of the game in the fourth, he may make a huge first down catch for you.
He's no stranger to that moment either.
Absolutely. That's what I'm telling you. That like he's been making these plays since he was a kid. I mean, he won Zachary's. I say it's their first state championship. I may be wrong. It's their first state championship under Brewerton, who's now has 4.
Yeah, I don't think that was their first.
It was their first under Brewerton.
Yeah.
He won it against West Monroe. He's a sophomore. They throw him just a little like screen route out to him. He makes one guy miss and goes 70 yards. I mean, like
he's got the juice, and this is the first time you've seen him all the way healthy, it feels like.
Yes.
And like I said, they have their 3. Kyron Lacey, it felt like he was a lot of talk in the offseason was he's worked his way into being able to maybe a breakout guy. But Chris Hilton becomes healthy again, and he is able to kind of take that spot over where you feel like that's just a little bit more consistent, where it makes the offense go a little bit better with Malik. Brian Thomas is the unsung hero in my mind so far with the LSU offense, because you need a legit, you call him a 2, he'll be a 1 if he stays next year, but you have a 2-headed monster, and then you put Chris Hilton in where the defense is on their heels because they know he can go. Kyron Lacey was a possession receiver that you hoped you could trust, a couple of drops early, and then you get in. Now Chris Hilton's kind of supplanted him in that job where it's, okay, now you have your 3 wide receivers.
Katie's Restaurant down in New Orleans brings you our coverage every single day. Remember our friends over at Katie's on Iberville Street. Stop in and say hello to Scott Craig and the crew. Great New Orleans favorite, St. Louis-style pizza, cold beer, great service. You can find them online, katiesinmidcity.com, and they have their sister restaurant, Francesca's. Stop in and see them today in Katie's, Mid-City, down in New Orleans. Been around since 1984. A trusted, solid spot that you can get great service and good food. Speaking of New Orleans, let's go down and talk to our friend Brooke Kirchhofer, who is weekly with us from NewOrleans.Football. Saints win an ugly one last night, but they get the win, 2-0, 20-17 winners last night over Carolina. Saints on a short week. This is kind of a weird deal here with the NFL. You really rarely see this, where you see a short week travel, and the Saints will be at Green Bay on a short week here, traveling to Wisconsin.
Make them run the quarterback sneak.
Does Goodell know that Sean Payton is not still the coach with the Saints? But Brooke is every Tuesday with us. Brooke and I were texting a little bit back and forth during the game last night. That was brutal. That was a tough one to watch. But Brooke, as we said last week, we repeat here in week 2. A win's a win in the NFL, and the Saints are now 2-0.
Yeah, it's hard to win in the NFL. I know when I was texting you, I think there was about 3 or 4 minutes left in the game, and the game was still up for grabs. I wasn't sure if the Saints were going to leave Carolina with a win. Look, we know that they have struggled in Carolina, and the Saints went 0-2 on Monday night last year, but they get the win. And remember, it's been since 2013 since the Saints started off 2-0.
Wow.
Jimmy Graham was a part of that team. It's been that long. So the Saints, no matter what, no matter how ugly it was, no matter the offensive struggles, Saints do go 2-0. And you're right, they go, on a short week, they head to Green Bay. The Falcons just beat the Packers last night by 1 point. Look, it's another opportunity for the Saints defense to come out and keep the Saints in it. We hope to continue to see more progression from the Saints offense, but I wouldn't be surprised if in week 3 it looks a little bit like it did in week 2.
Derek Carr last night, 228 yards, and he did have the interception. It just looks a little clunky. Is that fair to a new player in a new environment? When you evaluate Carr and how he's fitting in here early, what do you see?
Well, his passer rating was 65.5 in the win. It's not great yet. I think there were 3 key contributors as to why the offense just could not get rolling. 1, Jamal Williams left the game in the second quarter. He was kind of really your only running back heading into this game. Kirk Merritt was inactive. Tony Jones Jr. was up. Taysom Hill was up. So Tony Jones Jr. and Taysom Hill kind of carried the load in the run game when Jamal Williams went out. But the offensive line still struggled to protect Derek Carr. 4 sacks. The left side of the offensive line continued to collapse. But it was another week where Ryan Ramczyk was really the only guy on the offensive line who had a good day. We saw several times where there was a breakdown on the right side with Cesar Ruiz. And then the third thing for me is Derek Carr is really struggling to find some consistencies in the passing game with his wide receivers. When we talked to him in post game, he said, look, I was playing too fast in the first half. I told the guys at halftime, we're going to win this game. Trust in me. I'm going to slow it down. And you saw that on a couple of explosive plays, one to Michael Thomas, and then, of course, that beautiful catch. Chris Olave for 42 yards moves him down. Tony Jones scores the first touchdown of the game, and then the Rashid Shaheed 45-yard reception. And Rashid is just that quick. For him to make that catch and that play look so easy, and then Tony Jones punches it in once again. You don't want to have your back up against the wall and continue to win games that way. Everything was hard on offense for the Saints last night in prime time. We'll see if it gets fixed in week 3, but you can't imagine you continue to win games in that way.
Yeah. One positive of the offense is 17 receptions between the top 3 receivers and a real emphasis on trying to get Mike Thomas really involved. I thought he responded last night. That was as good as he's played in watching him play over the last couple of years. Obviously minimal games, but it really does feel like, I know that I say this very cautious, but it does feel like, I mean, he is back, at least mentally. He seems like he's there.
Yeah, if you listen to our interviews on NewOrleans.Football, I think we were the only ones to get video of Michael Thomas last night in postgame. And that was the first time we've really seen him kind of have that edge, like that can't guard Mike is back, fiery guy in the locker room after a win. He was targeted 9 times, had 7 catches. I expect those numbers to continue to go up. I think Derek Carr is just trying to figure out what guys he can trust. And look, again, Derek Carr has really been struggling just to get that going. And I think Michael Thomas and Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, that connection between the 3 of them is going to continue to improve. But you're right, we did see Michael Thomas more of like those violent contested catches. I don't love how much time he spent on the ground trying to make catches, but look, he stays healthy. He continues that forward progression. Get some protection for Derek Carr with the offensive line. Give him a little bit more time, and you might see, look, Michael Thomas might become wide receiver 1 again. It continues to be either Rashid Shaheed or Chris Olave, but I'm excited to see when Michael Thomas kind of breaks out and is that guy leading the charts.
Glimmer Fredette inside the chat says NewOrleans.Football had a live pregame show last night, and I must say it was damn good. Got to watch them more. Yeah, check them out. They have a great YouTube page as well, so if you're on YouTube, at our commercial break, just click over and give them a subscription and a follow and get back over to us. All right, Brooke, the offensive line, it's concerning, right? I mean, you mentioned Ramczyk has really kind of been the consistent piece. What do they do here as far as the options? I mean, the depth that they've built in the offseason and through free agency and through in-house, do they have enough guys to get through this?
I don't even think it's that. I think they're just going to go through the growing pains with Trevor Penning. I mean, they continue to say, look, the reps, he has to just get the reps and then he'll come along. That seems to be the solution they think is as to why. That's how they think Trevor Penning is going to come along. Look, he missed so many games his rookie year, but how many times are you going to let your quarterback just get beat up week to week? And what do? Put Andres Peden at left guard and then move James Hurst to left tackle? James Hurst hasn't looked great in games either. We did see, I feel like we saw less tight ends giving help to the offensive line last night. I think a lot of that, too, is to keep those guys healthy. Jawan Johnson left the game last week with a calf injury because he was having to help Trevor Penning so much on that left side. I don't know what it's going to take for Trevor Penning to get there. The Saints keep saying it's reps, and that's how he will get there, but I just don't know. I will say in postgame, he said in week 1 he was trying not to lose. Mm-hmm. Week 2, he was just trying to win. I don't know if it's a mentality for him. I don't know if it's a matter of fundamentals, the way he's moving his feet, pressure at the offensive line. I don't know. He just seemed to get beat, and he is such a big human. You don't ever want to see that guy on his back, but He was just getting beat left and right last night. And it's if you want to keep this quarterback that you went out and got and spent all this money on clean, you just have to figure that out, or move on from him, at least for the next few games. Maybe put Andres Pete in and slide James Hurst, but it doesn't sound like the Saints are going to do that. They continue to want to get him those reps and just see if it'll work.
For as boring and tough to watch the struggle on offense, it was fun to watch the dominance on defense.
Oh, yeah.
Last night, and this is a stat, and this is one of those stats that you thought would live forever, and the Dome Patrol has records that seem like are unbreakable when you think about Saints defense, NFL, just kind of what they were doing. Last night with the Saints' victory over Carolina, and I'm getting this from Saints PR, at Saints PR is where you can follow them on X. The Saints defense has now given up 20 or fewer points in 10 straight games for the first time in franchise history. Brooke, that is hard to do in the NFL. What do you make of that number and that stat after last night's win?
Yeah, it's incredible. The Saints continue to hang their hat on defense, and they were less than 2 minutes away from going 2 weeks without letting a team get into the end zone. That is just really impressive, and it's been impressive top to bottom. I think Carl Granderson had a really good game last night. He was responsible for the pressure on that fumble recovered by the New Orleans Saints. I believe Paulson Adebo was there for the fumble recovery. There was also, it looked like, plenty of times to where the Saints could have picked off Bryce Young and were just a little bit late, but ended up being on third down on those two plays where it could have been interceptions, and Saints get the ball back. Saints their offense didn't necessarily help their defense last night in the game, but to see a defense keep a team to 4 of 14 on third down, Bryce Young was just rattled in the second half. It didn't seem like he could really get anything going for himself. They held the Carolina Panthers just 100 rushing yards, 4 sacks. This defense arguably is one of the best defenses in the NFL right now if they can continue on this upward trend, and the offense just needs to respond. Derek Carr jokingly talked in postgame last night, like, I can be playful and talk about us being figuring things out on offense because we are 2-0, but a lot of that is because of just how good the defense is playing and keeping us in games. I think they're going to have a good opportunity to have a great game in Green Bay with Jordan Love as the quarterback there. But yeah, this defense is just insane, top to bottom. Marshall Lattimore, I believe, did not allow a single catch of any receivers that were against him last night. It's really incredible to see how this defense moves. And a lot of that, if you look through the flow of the game, majority of the game they were in cover one with a single high safety, almost continuing to dare the quarterback to throw. That's what we saw in week 1. Just an impressive performance by the defense. Nathan Shepard also had a great game. I want to see how they continue to kind of integrate Brian Brzee. We saw him a little bit, but as he gets things going, how will he look? Isaiah Foskey was up last night with Peyton Turner going on IR. Didn't necessarily see too much from him, but he didn't really have to have a standout game because the starters that were in on defense were just, again, so dominant. We got week 1 to week 2.
Can they withstand? Can they make it to the finish line?
The defense can.
Yeah,
I think that's not going. I don't think that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's, unless there's an injury, knock on wood.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're just, the chemistry. So we might have actually heard something in the locker room that something's going on in pregame that we're going to try and figure out. One of the guys on defense, let it slip out there that the defense does something before every game, before every practice. So we're going to try and figure that out. Is that a new Joe Woods thing? We'll see. But this defense, it just, once again, is stout. And we saw last year how it did taper off, so I don't know if they can hold that for – the defense can't win you every game. The defense won you the first 2 games, but at some point the offense needs to come along and complement what the defense is doing in a game.
One for you on offense to get you out of here. Kendre Miller, you expect him on Sunday?
You would hope. I will say, when I watched him this week in practice, he still had that, when you have that heavily wrapped gauze around your hamstring, it's not necessarily the sleeve yet, which shows that hamstring injury is coming along. I haven't seen that. He still looked kind of gingerly in his runs in practice, even up to Friday. I didn't think he was playing at all this week in week 2. They're going to need him to be up week 3. I even said in the press box. So when we're on the road, the Saints front office actually sits right behind us, which is kind of funny. It keeps everybody at bay and not saying anything crazy during
The hell
the
are they
game.
doing?
But yeah, right. I said to Mike and Nick, I said, has Kareem Hunt signed with anybody? And Kai Horton popped spoke up behind us. He was like, no, he hasn't. And I'm like, oh, all right. That's something they're paying attention to as well. But I would not be surprised if Jamal Williams is down, if Kendre Miller is down. They might go out and sign a running back just for this week. I would not be surprised at all. You don't have Alvin Kamara, who I'm sure Alvin was just sick watching that game last night with Jamal Williams going out. But credit to Tony Jones Jr. and Taysom Hill. Look, the offense was ugly, and really the only things they could get moving was through Tony Jones and Taysom Hill once they figured things out. So I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be enough to beat the Packers in Green Bay. We know it's a tough place to play, even though it is Jordan Love now as the quarterback and leading the charge there in Green Bay. But look, would not be surprised if the Saints go out and sign a running back for this week. Mark Ingram joked that he's just a phone call away. I don't think that's going to happen, but who knows? Maybe the Saints do invite Kareem Hunt back.
You mentioned Kareem Hunt a little bit. Obviously, you see Taysom Hill revert back to the role of like Mr. Fix-It, just put him back there. There's little whispers down in Baton Rouge of Leonard Fournette still out there. Is there any chance of maybe, if you had to power rank, who do you think that they would actually go after? Would it be Kareem Hunt 1? Is he even on the table for Leonard Fournette?
I haven't heard anything for Leonard Fournette, and I don't think the Saints talked to him earlier this offseason when it was still available. Look, that's not saying it's off the table. They are going to need help in that running back room if Jamal Williams and Kendre Miller are not available, because what do you have? Kirk Merritt to add and Tony Jones Jr. and Taysom Hill. They like using Taysom Hill in kind of that jack of all trades role. I don't think they would want to head into the game using him primarily just in the run game. So it's a real possibility. The biggest thing with Leonard Fournette, what is the asking price? If it's too high, the Saints aren't going to sign it.
Brooke, good to see you on this Tuesday morning. Have a great week. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
NewOrleans.Football. Make sure you are following that for all of your Saints news. Brooke, the crew over there, Mike Triplett, Nick Underhill, they're running away with it, man. As they said last night, post-game show, they've got reaction, they've got a YouTube channel, you can read about it, you can listen to it. They got you by land, sea, and air over there. Any way you want to digest your content about the New Orleans Saints, NewOrleans.Football has it, and you can listen to Brooke every Tuesday morning right here on the Culotta Show, as we are brought to you daily by our friends over at Click Here Digital. Click Here Digital are not just friends. We are a part of the team over here at Click Here Digital and love being a part of the team. We were at the Q3 Summit last week, brought together all 150 employees in one spot and celebrating all the wins, man. Feels like we could still be there. A lot of wins to celebrate over here at Click Here Digital. Quite simply, Click Here Digital is an experienced full-service digital marketing company with 30 years of success driving incredible results for your clients. I tell you all the time, for their clients, if you need the phone to ring, they can make the phone ring. If you need more clicks to your website, they'll bring you more traffic to your website. If you need more people walking through your door, they'll bring you more foot traffic. If you are seeking an award-winning, technology-driven partner to help your business grow, you found us, Click Here Digital. Email me, Jordy at clickheredigital.com, or log online to clickheredigital.com. 15 minutes from now, we will talk to Wilson Alexander of The Advocate and NOLA.com. We will break down this week for LSU, getting prepared for Arkansas coming into town. Hour 2 next here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Make sure, like, subscribe, share, as we will be right back here for Hour 2, as always, built by R&B Builders. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go-Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot.
Oh, yeah.
Sticking the roof in.
For a hole in your roof, or a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, roof, go roof.
Hey, Greg, the roof up?
Roof's up. Roof's up. Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdown Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s, made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdown Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's smell great from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
All right, welcome back here to a Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, we are built by RMB Builders. We're live here on our Click Here digital campus and getting you set for the second hour. We're going to talk to Wilson Alexander coming up here at 8:15 this morning. Remember, Wilson and the crew over at NOLA.com and The Advocate covering LSU. We'll talk to him about yesterday's press conference and the week ahead here for LSU as Arkansas is in town. If you've seen during our break, one of our new sponsors, Signa Frames, which has cool jerseys. If you see over there, if you shoot next to Austin, you can see the Harold Perkins jersey, and that is compliments of our friends over at Signa Frames. We're about to partner up with them. They're going to do an online and social media giveaway. But if you log on right now to signaframes.com, throughout football season, if you use the promo code Jordy on the website, you save 15% off anything that you buy. And they got some really cool merch over there, man. They got some really cool stuff. Not just specific to LSU, but a lot of really cool names and jerseys and signings and cards. It's a cool spot, man. Check out signaframes.com, signaframes.com, and use the promo code Jordy on the website. Save 15% as they are partnered up with this during football season, and going to partner up with them with a cool giveaway. I've got a Drew Brees jersey that we're going to be giving away on social media. So really looking forward to that.
Is that a Denver Broncos jersey?
What's that?
For Drew?
They might be calling
Sean
him
Payton
up.
is looking around.
They might be calling him up.
Tired of this Russell Wilson experiment.
0-2 start for Sean Payton up in Denver. It's been brutal.
Pulled out all the stops already. He's done an onside kick, and then they hit a Hail Mary, and then still 0-2. And he just looks like this was way more fun than New Orleans. Come on back.
Grass ain't always greener.
Come on back.
Austin Guerin, who is working our chat today, so keeping up with the comments. I know we had a little bit of interaction. We're going to get to Wilson here in about 5 minutes. Anything else over there popping, Austin?
That came up earlier when we were talking to Brooke that I thought was super interesting about the Saints. Spencer P brings up, didn't know on the broadcast last night, but we haven't started 2-0 in over a decade. How crazy is that?
It is crazy. Brooke just gave that stat on her way out, and she was talking about, what was the first time since 2013?
Yeah,
2-0.
That with because she said Jimmy Graham was still on the team, and they the defensive stat that came out that it's the first time they've held teams under 20 points this amount of time since the Dome Patrol.
Dome Patrol. 91. 10 straight games they've held an opponent under 20 points. I mean, in the NFL, that's hard to mess around and do. You know what I mean? That is tough. Hard.
Well, that's what's so frustrating about the Saints. I see the comments. I see Jeff Marsan, he's a huge Saints fan. He's like, why don't you talk about him more? What do you see that makes you want to talk about them, really? Offensively, with Pete Carmichael, what they've done is it's not sustainable. You can roll out a top 3 defensive unit in the league, but if you have nothing offensively, you get into a dogfight with the Carolina Panthers. That's the thing that you're talking about. Now, I'm going to hold out hope to continue to see because the NFC South is better than I think a lot of people thought they would be. Baker Mayfield is doing it in Tampa Bay, like you saw Carolina, I guess, but until they find some sort of rhythm offensively where you're hoping and praying to hit 2 deep shots, and that's your offense. And if Alvin Kamara can come in and change maybe what you do offensively, that's your last hope for the Saints to make any noise in terms of a playoff run.
Well, I mean, look, AK's going to make this offense significantly better.
Absolutely, but the offensive line is not good.
The offensive line is just
you can't win like
tough.
that.
I mean, only a couple of games back before people really start keying in on him and taking him out. So, I mean, it is.
That's cause for concern.
It is cause for concern when you talk about the Saints.
I got to start live streaming games with Ron. God,
is he just going through hell?
Oh, he's in it.
Because he's probably the biggest Saints fan I know.
He is in his room, get him!
And Ron doesn't talk.
No, the whole game he is in it, right in the screen,
throwing stuff,
throwing shit, just everything.
I done told y'all.
All right, we're gonna talk. Let me know when we got Wilson.
Got Wilson. Hair looks great.
Beautiful.
Oh, of course. I mean, if there's a guarantee,
Saints
Saints holding somebody under 20 points, and Wilson's hair's gonna look great.
Right. That's the literal Dome Patrol.
Yeah, there you go.
Wilson Alexander, a throwback.
Yes.
All right. Every Tuesday, we got a couple of award winners here as we talked to Brooke Kirchhofer from NewOrleans.Football, who was named the Louisiana AP Broadcaster of the Year, and then Wilson Alexander, who is the Edward Ashoff Rising Star from ESPN,
just beat me,
named off in the off season from the Advocate and from NOLA.com covering LSU, and he's with us every Tuesday. Welcome back, Wilson. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. How are you doing?
Doing good. Press conference yesterday for BK. A 6-minute opening statement. Coach is feeling good coming off of the first SEC win of the season and going into Arkansas. What did you make of his addressing to the media yesterday?
He certainly, he tends to go a little bit long in those opening statements anyway, but it was just the tone is able to shift around kind of how he's doing. Think back to if you're sort of analyzing press conferences over the last few weeks after Florida State, that was as probably animated as we've ever seen him in a press conference, and now he's able to be a little bit more calm and reassured maybe in his addresses. Nothing that was too different. from how he normally is yesterday. But he certainly, I think the line that kind of stood out was he thinks he's finding the formula for this LSU team, and that you kind of have to do that every single year, regardless of who you have. His comparison was almost to like a ready-made pancake mix. You can't usually just add water. That you kind of have to tweak it around a little bit to find it, and they feel like they are at this point.
What did you see that really stood out from the tweaking that they did last week that really caused the change?
The first thing would be probably just the way that they played on defense. And, obviously some of the tweaks were out of necessity. Omar Speights and Greg Brooks not playing. They had to put Whit Weeks in there, and, Ryan Yates came in on certain, extra defensive back packages, nickel or dime. But it was just kind of the way that they played up front defensively. It would help that they played an offensive structure like that was, play action and running the football. And LSU was able to kind of tee off, but it just gave you so much more confidence on that side of the ball, in particular because of the struggle that they had in the second half against Florida State, and then even early on against Grambling. The tackling was much improved, which kind of started in practice last week with going full tackling on Tuesday and Wednesday. Greg Penn comparing that Tuesday practice last week to a scrimmage, which is different from what they normally do during the season. Kelly is very conscious in how he plans practice and doesn't want to overload guys throughout the season in order to keep them fresh deep into the year, because this is such a grind. But this is something that they realized last week. The defensive players were asking for it, and so they went full tackle, and it seemed to pay off on Saturday.
A lot of praise for Greg Penn over the last couple of days and weeks. It feels like he has got the trust of the coaching staff when you hear them talk. What is his role? What is his position on this team when you talk to the teammates and when you hear the coaches talk about him? Why wasn't he like a bona fide starter going into the year? After you listen to people talk about him, he feels like a guy that is almost a captain of the program.
Well, for a couple of reasons. Last season, Greg had his own ups and downs. Mm-hmm. During the offseason, he lost about 10 to 12 pounds to kind of try to transform his body a little bit. And then, of course, at this, so he was had some things that he needed to work on personally. And then at the same time, LSU was trying to put Harold Perkins inside. And so you go into that Florida State game, they come out running a 4-2-5. And the whole time, Harold was certainly going to be a part of what they were doing defensively. The coaches said that throughout the preseason, but it felt like he was going to be more of a complementary piece to Harold and Omar inside, because LSU needed those 5 defensive backs on the field and was running 3 safety looks quite a bit. They've changed that now a little bit here. So part of it in getting onto the field is, realizing they needed to move Harold Perkins out onto the edge. So that made a lot of sense to, put Greg and Omar Speights right there inside. But it's interesting now that yesterday Brian was asked about, Whit Weeks and Omar kind of being a linebacker, and his answer ended up being about Greg Penn instead, and how Greg Penn is the one who they feel maybe the best about right now. He's just, he's got some experience as a junior who started almost pretty much every game last year. He's gotten a lot of playing time over the last few seasons and is starting to kind of come into his own. It's kind of a career progression, right, in development there that you're seeing somebody who they feel really confident to kind of get everybody lined up. Like you said, be assignment correct, fit the gaps, fit the run really well. He's physical, and he's got the size that you like at middle linebacker. And so, as they sort of start to shift toward playing a little bit more of 3 linebackers and 4 defensive backs, he's kind of the guy that they like having right there in the middle. And as Omar comes back from a hip flexor injury, Brian Kelly's saying that Greg Penn is going to be the one who they sort of leave there in the middle of the field, and they rotate, Whit Weeks and Omar and, maybe some West Weeks too around him. He's the guy who's going to be more of a constant.
Wilson, to me, and this is just my untrained football eye watching LSU's defense play, the one player I thought that made them different last weekend was Whit Weeks. How do you think he fits in moving forward?
He looked like he belonged. He's so fast. He was playing with a lot of confidence too, which is impressive to see as a freshman. There was moments when a guy maybe doesn't know what they should be doing, and there's hesitation, and you react instead of attacking, and that you didn't see that out of Whit Weeks. I mean, he's making his first start of his career in an SEC game, nonetheless, and he goes out there and he leads the team with 8 tackles. He was shooting gaps. really flying after the football. There was moments when he, needed to improve, and there's work to be done. Even if it's just sort of understanding the full playbook. There was a few times where it seemed like there might have been some confusion. I think LSU had to take a timeout at one point because of it. But that's something that you can very easily work with. I mean, he's got a lot of athletic traits that you really like, and this always seemed like someone when we would see him out at fall practice that you thought, okay, this is somebody they're probably going to be able to rely on in the future. But all of a sudden, that's the future is the present. And like right now, he is somebody who can go out there and play at a pretty high level. I'm fascinated to see once Omar comes back, kind of what that rotation looks like and how much they're using with Weeks, because there is a lot to like there at right now. He seems athletically ready and not afraid by any stretch of the imagination about what it takes to go and play linebacker in the SEC.
One more on defense before we get to the offensive output. Mason Smith last weekend played a lot more snaps than he did in week 2. What did you make of his play? I thought he gobbled up the double team all day and really freed up a lot of people.
He really did, and he had I think it was a quarterback hurry at one point to force an incompletion. He was, really active up there. Him and Makai are such a excellent tandem when they, especially in pass rush situations, when they're able to, because their get offs are just extremely fast. And it makes it really hard to deal with them both on the interior. LSU, of course, was also using Jordan Jefferson and Jacobian Guillory a lot more at defensive tackle. That was something that came out of the Grambling game as a correction they wanted to make, especially going up against a run-first offense. Brian Kelly and thought that they were probably the best run defenders that LSU had at defensive tackle in that game. And so LSU, they played them a lot more here and rotated, and so that gave Mason, and Makai a little bit of a breather. But when Mason was on the field, it just seemed like he had knocked off the rust a little bit. Like we saw in the Grambling game, kind of over the course of that game, he was getting better. His pad level seemed like it was better. He was extremely active, and he's only going to continue to improve as he continues to get playing time and round back into form after coming off that knee injury.
All right, well, since offensively, obviously Malik Neighbors and Jayden Daniels named SEC Players of the Week for their performance on Saturday. Let's start with the quarterback. 30 of 34, 88%, over 300 yards and the 2 touchdowns. His accuracy was just Drew Brees-esque. I don't know if I've seen a performance like that. I mean, obviously Burrow, but what did you make of the senior signal caller and the day he had?
It was Jayden putting together everything that he's worked on in the offseason, and that kind of the culmination of that work really showing itself for the first time this season. We had seen improvements in spots, but not necessarily when you think about where he was at the same time last year, coming into the beginning of the season this year. It was certainly, better than it was then. But it was still leaving a little something to be desired. His deep balls, he was missing a few here and there. Of course, there was one to Malik last week against Grambling that he needed to hit on, and he hadn't. And then you see that happen in the game, and he looks confident. He was firing passes over the middle at times. There was one to Brian Thomas in particular on like a 3rd and 4 where they picked up 19 yards because he trusted himself to fit something into a pretty tight window, and he did. And Brian made a good catch, and that was one that maybe goes unnoticed, but just shows you that he is having a lot of confidence throwing the football right now. Last week they noticed that his elbow was dropping on deep balls, and so he kind of worked on that mechanically to regain his feel with a basketball. Actually, whenever he's sort of feeling that way, he likes to shoot free throws because it kind of helps simulate that elbow extension. And although that little bit of work and some extra work with Malik after practice really showed up, there was some great throws that Brian Kelly described as NFL level because he was hanging in the pocket and getting hit as he threw it at times. This was the best that Jayden Daniels has looked this year. He was asked post-game if this is the best game he's played in his LSU career. He said, well, Florida last year was pretty good. But it certainly was. But this one was him throwing the deep ball in a way that we haven't seen at a consistent level over the course of an entire game.
And then for Malik, 13 targets, 13 grabs, ties Josh Reed's school record of 10 receptions in a half with what he did in the first half on Saturday. The 2 touchdowns, I thought he nearly had a third. He should have had a third. His day and what that does for LSU's offense when he performs to that stand. Obviously, he's not going to get 13 catches every week, but for him to be the leading receiver and the leading target each week, I think does something for LSU. What does it, in your opinion?
it makes this offense really hard to defend because he is such a good player. And Brian Kelly was going into the season saying that Malik Neighbors needed 80 to 90 touches this year. And then even when he only got 6 or 7 catches in the first 2 games respectively, he was saying that they need to get him even more involved. And you saw that happen in this game. I mean, 13 targets too on those 13 receptions, like all of them were completed. He was doing a few specific things to kind of make that happen. Mississippi State kept playing man coverage on him in the slot with inside leverage, and LSU would run an underneath route on the outside of Malik. And because Mississippi State was playing one high safety, it just gave him so much room to work with, and LSU just kept attacking that. Both touchdowns came on the same route. And then the 2 longest receptions were pretty similar too, where he was out on the outside at this point. Mississippi State was playing off coverage. He just ran a double move and blew by the corners. And so, this was kind of his coming out party for the year, where, you're looking at a guy who could be the second receiver in LSU history to have back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, joining Josh Reed. And he's now kind of really on pace to do that here in the regular season. Is he going to go out for 230, every single week? Probably not. That's hard to do, but he can be a very, very good wide receiver and kind of the catalyst of this whole offense, and especially in the passing game with everything that he's capable of doing, inside, outside, and it's just so hard to defend him.
The offensive line on Saturday, they did throw Lance Hurd in with the first team. He gave up a sack, or him and Emory Jones had a confusion on a stunt, and then the holding call was a great teaching moment for the freshman. What did you make of the offensive line's play, and as they move deeper into conference, how do you think they shuffle this group?
They're blocking for the run a lot better than they were in the Florida State game, where, the LSU kind of kept running these very basic inside handoffs, and it required the offensive line to go up and really sort of punch Florida State in the mouth and create a push on the interior, and you weren't seeing that. And that's happened a lot more, certainly against Grambling. That was better, but here against an SEC opponent, they were getting that kind of push up front, and allowing the running game to be a lot more effective outside of Jayden Daniels just scrambling. Obviously, that was still a big component of his game, but it wasn't the only thing that you were getting in the run game, and that was huge. In terms of pass pro, they've been pretty good all year. Jared Verse, they had one play where he affected Jayden Daniels in the opener, but it seems like that's been fairly solid. This was actually maybe not their best game in pass pro at times, giving up a few sacks, but they are a really solid group, and they're continuing to get better. It'll be interesting to see how LSU continues to use that rotation with Lance, because it wasn't like we saw in the Grambling game, just a back and forth flip out with him and Miles Frazier. They played Miles Frazier a lot more in this game than they did Lance. But they've been a solid group, and if they continue to kind of come together and get better, then they'll be one of the better ones in the SEC probably. I mean, Will Campbell had a bad day in terms of getting penalized, and that's not something you usually see from him. So you probably don't expect to see that continue from him moving forward. And that just, when he's not even having your best day, then your offensive line is still playing well, then that's a very good sign.
Caleb Jackson's performance has a lot of people buzzing about where he fits in this offense moving forward. Where does he, Wilson, in your opinion?
He's going to be a rotational piece, and they really trust Logan Diggs. They trust Josh Williams, in terms of pass pro. That's the thing. Like, Caleb is physically looks as good as any one of them, if not the best out of them. I mean, the potential of this guy is really, really high. And yet there's just things for him to work on. He missed his senior year of high school with an injury, and they're still teaching him kind of things and getting him back up to speed in terms of just sort of rounding him out as a running back, because physically, he said he's fantastic, but he's got to learn all the little nuances of the game. And that's not a bad thing. He's a freshman. But because of his ability to kind of come in, this could be somebody who you bring in the fourth quarter with fresh legs and be able to go and just pound people like he did that poor safety.
I think he's still out there, Coach.
That's a huge asset to have in this offense when you can bring in somebody with that kind of physicality. And, is he going to be the starter and your main ball carrier at this point? No. But he's going to get more and more carries as he continues to play well. And that's a huge, that's just huge for his development and for what else you can do at running back, because now can roll 4 deep, 5 deep.
It's tough to complain about anything that's happening offensively. I'm just picking nits here. Do you think that there's an emphasis to involve Aaron Anderson more or find his place?
They certainly want to, just because, to kind of get him along. It was interesting. He actually started, this game. Him, Chris Hilton, and Malik were the starters out there, but he just wasn't getting a lot of touches. It seemed like getting the ball to Malik was kind of the offensive focus early on. And so maybe as Aaron continues to kind of get up to speed, then they find him more packages. We have to remember that this is a guy who didn't play last year at Alabama, and so he's playing in his first college games and consistently playing game after game for the first time in a while. He's obviously a dynamic player when he gets the ball in his hands, but they just need to find ways to hit the ball in his hands a little bit more and get him in space. If he stays on the field, then that can happen. And we're seeing him playing a lot more snaps, and so maybe that'll come in time.
I know that this is a matter that everybody is concerned about with the comments that Brian Kelly has made concerning the player. Is there any news on Greg Brooks? Is there anything that we know?
No, there's nothing that we definitively know at this point. It sounds like a serious situation. When you hear LSU's players and Brian Kelly saying, thoughts and prayers are with him and dedicating the game ball to him post game, that's not something that usually happens when a player just has an injury. So they're being very private about it, which makes sense. I mean, there's a lot of laws in place here to protect Greg's medical information as a college student, and they are certainly adhering to those. So we don't know much at this point. He's out indefinitely, and right now the first foremost concern is, of course, just his health and how he's doing. We just don't know much about the situation at this point.
Man, that is scary. We continue to think about Greg Brooks, his family, and what he's going through. It's much bigger than football, obviously, when you think about Brooks. Wilson, were you surprised to see Ryan Yates be the next guy up there?
No, not particularly. We had seen him kind of come on as one of those backup safeties during preseason camp. But it was, really credit to Ryan Yates, another freshman who went out there, and of course his playing time was a little bit more limited than Whit Weeks. And also, this wasn't a game that told you very much about the secondary, because LSU was getting so much pressure up front that it took a lot of pressure off of them in the back end, because Will Rogers just had no time to get anything out, and they weren't tested very often. But in the moments that he was in there, you really couldn't tell that a freshman was on the field, which is a good thing. He was playing clean football. Sound correct, there was never any moments where he was responsible for a bust from what we could see, and ended up with 2 tackles. And so this is a guy who, as Greg Brooks is out for an extended period of time, which right now it's indefinite, that he's going to be relied on in times. Certainly when LSU goes to dime, maybe even at moments when it goes to nickel. They earlier this year playing 3 safeties, and even though, like we said, they'd already kind of gotten away from that and gone more to 3 linebackers and 4 DBs. There's certainly moments when they play spread teams in particular where they like to have more defensive backs on the field, and him and Sage Ryan are going to be the ones that they look to do that with.
Wilson Alexander joining us here on the Culotta Show every week, taking your football thoughts and giving us our questions here. All right, this Arkansas KJ Jefferson challenge that they present this week, he obviously did not play in this game last season. They played the backup in Malik Hornsby. Obviously, you'll see KJ in Tiger Stadium this week. I think this is where we saw Harold Perkins shine last year. What are the expectations of Perk this week and the challenges that Arkansas provides?
Perkins will continue to be that kind of nickel Sam linebacker and come down and rush off of the edge. They like what he's able to do when he's sort of out in space and freed up from playing in the middle of the field, which, obviously the way the first game went showed that was the way to keep him outside. And he's done a good job and been much more able to affect the game in that role. We saw him certainly do so against Mississippi State with a sack and a few pressures. And so they'll continue to use him outside. And what's interesting in this game is that they use him as a spy again. That was so effective against Arkansas last year, and part of that was because he was one who's kind of prone to take off. KJ Jefferson is a different kind of runner, but he is at sometimes a runner. He's more of a passer than Hornsby was, but he is somebody who, when Arkansas played BYU last week and Arkansas lost that game and really did not look good in the second half of that, BYU was really effective when it was using a spy on KJ. And so it'll be fascinating to see if LSU kind of tries that same strategy. It was obviously effective against Arkansas last year, and even though the quarterback's different, it seemed effective when BYU was using it against Arkansas this year. And if Harold's able to sit around and do that again, then this could be another big Harold Perkins game. This isn't an Arkansas offense that really scares you on the outside. It's going to be much more about containing KJ Jefferson. And if LSU is able to do that, then it should have success. The other person that we need to kind of listen to, and find out about his status over the course of the week is Rocket Sanders, their running back. That changes a lot of things about in terms of what Arkansas does offensively, because he's a very, very talented runner, but he's been dealing with a knee injury, didn't play the last couple of weeks. And so over the course of the week, we'll have to find out what his status is, because that kind of changes how you approach this Arkansas offense if he's available.
At @WHAlexander_ is where you find him on social media every Tuesday, right here with us, talking LSU, getting you set up for the week ahead. Tigers in Tiger Stadium taking on Arkansas Saturday night. It'll be a 6:30 kickoff. Should be a beautiful Saturday evening under the lights of Death Valley. Wilson will be talking to you next week. Thanks as always, man.
Thanks for having me, y'all. Have a good one.
There he is. Wilson Alexander checking in, the award-winning Wilson Alexander checking in this morning. Remember our conversations and our show daily brought to you by Go Roof, online at GEAUXroof.com. Get in touch with the pros today if you want them to hop up on the roof. I woke up this morning and my house got rolled.
No way.
Night. Little Jay's going back to Our Lady of Mercy and playing Mercy in a football game at U-High tonight. And so the Mercy kids draped the front yard in blue and white toilet paper with a big sign of Go Blue Jays in the front yard.
And I took that personal.
And I take that personally.
I took that personal. Only traveling the 7th graders for University High over to the 7th and 8th grade complex. I am making an excuse early on here on game day.
Hey, look.
This is not something that Go Roof does. I did text my crew over there and asked them if they could clean toilet paper off the roof. They sent me a middle finger back. But they said that they would jump up on the roof and check for hail damage if anybody threw some
if
marbles up there, and dented the roof. A beautiful roof every single time. Go Roof, they're friends first. They can help you in business online at GEAUXroof.com, 225-927-8300. Get a 2-year free workmanship guarantee with all new roof installations over at Go Roof. GEAUXroof.com, residential, commercial, and roofing repairs. 15 years of experience. They got free inspections. They wouldn't like that one.
Oh, yeah, that's a hell of a deal.
Free installations.
Free roofs every single time.
They don't do that. They do a free inspection to tell you about the installation over at Go Roof. GEAUXroof.com. Great stuff from Wilson Alexander. We'll be back with more of the show, as always, built by R&B.
Easy to talk shit when you're winning. Mm-hmm. Bring that energy.
If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about 1 buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on. Did you do it? Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
You can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like, will you marry me?
Do I know you?
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof. Call Go Roof instead. We offer a free, no-obligation inspection. A beautiful roof every shingle time. Bobby, goes in the front.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Belmont Stakes Race Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Kentucky Derby Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Offensive player of the game from LSU, Joe Burrow.
Football is life. Football is Joe Burrow.
Malik Neighbors, a wide receiver.
Favorite pregame meal?
Popeyes.
What would winning a national championship mean to you?
It would mean a lot to me because, we seen a lot of the greats come through here, won their national championship, got, remembered for life.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Probably fly. That or telekinesis.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Do it wrong, do it long. Do it right, do it light.
Kyra Lacey, wide receiver, number 2.
Do you have any nicknames?
K2.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Stay humble.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Fly. I be flying in my dreams.
What's been the highlight of your partnership with us?
The bike giveaway was one of the best things. I was pretty excited about that one. Texas A&M, I just got a point to prove because last year I dropped 2 balls I should have caught. I'm coming for them for real.
That's it. Thank you, man.
My name is Harold Perkins, and I play linebacker.
What's your favorite pre-game meal or snack?
Pasta with a little steak, something that's not too heavy.
Any superstitions or pre-game rituals?
I pray a lot. Just be me and God before the game. Perky worky. I like when they call me the percolator. I like that.
If anyone gets in a wreck, who should they call?
Gore.
Where were you born at, Greg?
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But I claim 504 food because I was raised there my whole life. Favorite type of food is spaghetti. But you need to try spaghetti with some corn on the side. Funniest person, I'd probably get Kyron Lacey. He be having me joked out every time I talk to him.
Who's the most athletic?
Besides myself, Perk or Malik. Future self, just take one day at a time, one step at a time. If you're doing something, just be where your feet are. Make sure you give 100% effort.
What is something on your bucket list?
Win a Super Bowl. That's definitely on my bucket list.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time traveling.
Who's the fastest on the team?
Like in a short span, I would say quick trigger, I'm taking Perk. One thing most people don't know about me, probably that I moved 12 times growing up, 12 different states.
Who's the most savage on the team?
Mason Smith. Mason Smith, definitely.
And who gets it done?
Gordon.
Thank you, man. That's great.
Emory Jones, right tackle.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Got it from my mom, and she just told me, always keep your head on the swivel.
Favorite subject?
Math, easy. I kind of keep it light. Give me some type of red beans or something like that. Throw a little cornbread on the side.
Light with red beans.
Yeah, just a little bit. I am superstitious. I got some PSDs that's purple and yellow and white. I wear them every game. I feel like they my lucky draws, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it.
Welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show is always built by R&B Builders, live here on this Tuesday, which looks like a beautiful Tuesday
This morning
outside. Felt like San Diego.
Don't call me. Don't text me.
Outside.
I'm on the golf course.
Gracious.
Just laying outside.
I might just touch some grass.
Hit a like button.
Adopt the dog today.
Share button, comment button. Let's get to 200 before we get out of here at 9 a.m. We got 15 minutes to get to 200 likes. We're at 136. Do some work.
We won't
If you're
say
watching
another
right now
word.
and you have not hit the like button, slam that like button. If you're watching right now and you have not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscription button. If you want to stay live and keep up, or you want to keep up to our live programming and know when it happens, you can hit that bell, and you'll be notified as soon as we go. As soon as we go live. The Nick Chubb injury last night was brutal,
horrific.
Man. It was
assault.
They found every angle of it too on Twitter.
It was devastating, man.
That was the worst part. Was when they were like, "We're not going to show it on the broadcast," and Twitter's like, "Oh no, we got you." They had angles that I didn't even know that they had on a football field to see it again. And the more I watched it, the more I couldn't stop watching it. And now I'm good.
Yeah.
I think as a not a doctor, think you might be out for the year.
Yeah.
No, he's. I would really, and this is the second time this has happened to Chubb. And if you have not seen the injury, it's one of those things that you shouldn't watch, but you're probably, from a human standpoint, not going to be able to
Look
not
away.
watch it, because it's just it's
like a train wreck. One of those things where you see it happening, it's like, oh no.
I mean, his knee goes completely backwards.
Yeah, I've seen his leg touch his body too many times.
I mean, it is just.
I remember when it happened at Georgia. Was that a Tennessee game?
Mm-hmm.
And LSU was playing at the same time, and people were like murmuring in the tunnel of like, "Have you seen the Nick Chubb injury?"
Yeah.
And so this is the second time he's gone viral for the wrong reasons, and it's unfortunate because, like Stewie was saying, he's one of the few guys that got paid, and it sets the precedent again of.
That's why we don't pay them damn running backs.
If I'm Will J, I'm not playing running back.
No way.
Oh, my kid's not playing running back.
And that's the position. At my age, that's what you wanted to play.
Well, I mean, 10 years ago, that was the highest paid position out there.
Yeah.
I mean, one of them.
Like, you just wanted to get the ball.
The change, the tone change on the running back is one of the most
quick.
It's one of the most educational, cautionary tales that sports can provide.
Yeah.
You think you're living it, you think you're high, you think you got it all in just an instant, man, it could be gone. Like, I mean, think about the days of like Marshall Faulk and guys that were in the league during that time. I mean, the running back was
it.
It was it.
LT.
It was it. LaDainian Tomlinson.
Damn, they had some bags.
I mean, like Ricky Williams.
Yeah. Traded a whole franchise for that guy.
They did trade. And
they traded every single. Now, that was Mike Ditka.
Yeah, they still traded the farm.
He was trying to get to the golf course.
Who did they trade with?
They traded those picks to Philadelphia.
I don't think it was.
No, Philadelphia had the pick in front of them.
I don't really know. I was a little young, but
Buffalo.
That's a good question.
Priest Holmes.
Oh,
Wow.
Priest Holmes was a
Priest
great
Holmes
call.
was a dog.
Frank Gore.
Who was Larry Johnson?
Oh, talk about run him into the ground.
Oh, they ran him into the ground?
Like
From?
Literally. Penn State.
Yeah, nice.
His dad was a recruiting coordinator.
Was he?
Yeah, Larry Johnson Sr. Now he's a recruiting coordinator at Ohio State.
Yep.
Dude,
Isn't
fine.
he the D-line coach at Ohio State?
I mean, Zeke Elliott is probably the last test case of an NFL back that got
paid.
It was a feature back.
Saquon's the first one to miss.
Oh, God.
And he gets hurt, too.
And he got hurt.
Man, this is
But,
not good.
I mean, Nick Chubb's injury will be the lead argument on why running backs do not get paid.
And Austin Eckler was asking for money, too, and he got hurt.
He got hurt.
This
The usage rate, like McCaffrey's going to go down at some point this year, too.
I mean, Tony Jones Jr. had 2 touchdowns last night.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like that's the case where you're like, you lose your offseason signing of Jamal Williams. He leaves the game with an injury. Your franchise player is the running back. He's out suspended. And you find some guy that's been in the program for a couple of years that can step in and get you 2 scores. You know, like, I mean, that's the problem with the position.
A lot of people can do it. Some people can. There's probably 3 that we just named that are elite at it.
The Dolphins.
Yeah.
It was then he went to the Dolphins.
Then he went to the
Dolphins.
That's
weird.
My point of that is the Dolphins did nothing with those picks. They made
The
no
Saints
hay.
traded away 8 picks, including 2 first-rounders, to the Washington Commanders. So they could move up from 12 to 5.
Washington didn't do anything with
So
those
Washington
picks
didn't do anything with those picks.
The Redskins received the 12th overall pick in 99.
Go down the list, dude. It's unbelievable.
A 3rd-round pick, a 4th-round pick, a 5th-round pick, a 6th-round pick, a 7th-round pick. 2000's first selection, which was the 2nd pick in the draft.
Oh,
jeez.
Who did they draft?
Did they draft LeVar Arrington with that pick?
Penn State?
Because I think they took Courtney Brown. No.
This is 1999.
This is 2000.
Okay.
And then they also had a 3rd-round selection in 2000 as well.
Did they go Clinton Portis? Brian Urlacher, LeVar Arrington, yeah.
Brian Urlacher.
To the Bears, LeVar.
The Bears.
LeVar was notorious for the time in the snap count, hopping over the.
It was LeVar Arrington.
Wow.
Hopping over the line. Another running back that was. I mean, they traded the farm for. You got a literal 1-for-1 deal when you went Clinton Portis for Champ Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was, you don't do that anymore. Like the NFL used to be like, oh, we'll trade you.
Right.
And it's like, come. You need a corner. We got a running back. Here's our star for your star. You don't see that anymore. It's just they kind of swallow the pill let's go. Let's
I'll
kick the
give
can.
you Chase Claypool for a 4th-round pick.
Chase Claypool showed up the other day. It was fun to see, I guess.
But man, that injury last night to Chubb,
Jesus,
brutal. Man.
It's not cool.
Brutal.
I don't want to watch this anymore.
No, don't watch it. Don't watch it.
I mean, if you're the Browns, that's kind of all she wrote. I mean, the backup looked good.
Yeah.
You almost had a 2-headed monster now, but he was running like his hair. He was running like he was scared to get hurt.
Wait, who's the backup?
I don't know, but he came in and balled out. But and then you saw Deshaun Watson. He made that game was just.
That game was on.
Is Deshaun Watson any good? Like really, I'm asking.
I don't know if he's worth the trouble.
He's definitely not worth the trouble. But I mean, like, you got some data now. You know, like I mean,
he sat out an entire year.
Jerome Ford.
Yeah, he played well. But you saw some moments last night. I would say Deshaun like shrugged some people off. Did the thing where he was running around and created plays. He makes Amari Cooper better. He's not bad. I don't know if he's worth how much money did he get guaranteed?
A lot.
Guaranteed.
Way too much.
Disrupted the whole market.
A lot. I mean,
especially at the time that
for all of that, I don't think.
Well, it's over now. That's the funniest thing about sports and keeping up with the times is like for every Deshaun Watson, you get a Mel Tucker. It's like, okay, now we're going to talk about him.
Yeah.
Like, somebody's always going to do something else. Like, that will always live with Deshaun Watson. It'll be the first thing you think about, probably. It used to be the Clemson-Alabama game.
Oh, yes.
Whenever he put he put the cape on.
He did.
And it looked like he was trending in the right direction to be a franchise quarterback in Houston. And then it just, after that, it's been, ugh. And now Mel Tucker's about to fumble the bag, too.
He's fumbled it. I think the Michigan State executive team has notified Mel Tucker that he's going to be fired with cause, which no buyout. In fact, it's starting to hit the wire right now. Michigan State University, this is from ESPN, begins the process of firing Mel Tucker. A couple of hours ago, Michigan State University announces plans to fire Mel Tucker amid sexual harassment allegations.
It's fun while it lasted, Mel.
Is D'Antoni going to stay on as?
I don't know what they're going to do here, because this edition of Michigan State definitely looks like they've quit. They just look mentally spent. The team did, at least last week. They may be able to just, peel a couple of games away from them, but I don't know what. I would probably get away from the whole thing if you're Michigan State. I'd blow the whole thing up.
Everybody out.
Because
hire Pat Fitzgerald.
Oh gosh.
No, that would make it even better.
Football in the Midwest is on tilt. Who are they going to? I saw an article that came out yesterday that listed like probable hires that Michigan State would be in, and Matt House was on the list.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you talked about Arkansas, whatever. It's tough to keep your coordinators around if LSU continues to play well and that defense looks like that. I don't think he would leave this year. I wouldn't go to Michigan State at all.
I was about to say,
No.
would you make that jump with everything that's
I
going
mean,
on?
the football stadium's named after the basketball coach. What do you think
that-
their priorities lie?
Yeah, this is not cool.
Well, I mean, and now you're walking into a public relations mess.
Jeez.
Because for as bad as Mel Tucker is in this situation, and it is horrific, grotesque. I mean, like, it just inexplicable. This will be a case study. I mean, this will be something that lives on forever if you're just in a situation like Tucker is. But a lot of this is on Michigan State, with the way that they handled, things that have happened on that campus in the past, things like Larry Nassar, who's now doing life in prison for sexual harassment and sexual molestation. And that was happening and really almost to a degree covered up in East Lansing. And now, this story didn't really pop until it was leaked, and they've been knowing about it for a while. I mean, that press conference at Michigan State with the AD and the president last week, I mean, another case study of this is not what it's supposed to look like. I mean, that was as much as Mel Tucker is going to have fallout on this, and he will, and it'll be both personal and financial. The impact will be, severe. Michigan State does not deserve a pass on this. I mean, this is another on-campus situation that they have seemingly bungled, and whether it's just from the PR standpoint or from the actual execution of the protocol.
I mean, is the AD going to catch any flack for this?
Lack of institutional control.
Somewhere along the way, that has to become that's got to become
a talking point.
I mean, like if you've got the football coach harassing a known sexual advocate who is out there doing work, like she's pretty much donated her life to this work. Like, this is what she does, and you can't get that right on how you handle it like that.
Does she keep her job?
I mean, she has to, right?
Well, she's not contracted by the school. She's not an employee of the school. She was contracted by them to come in and speak to the group about this very thing. Like, that's how she makes a living. She travels the country and speaks to football team. Speaks to groups of people where you've got a lot of people together, and this stuff can happen pretty quickly. And you got the head football coach on the phone with her. I mean, like,
making advances.
The story is, it's unreal.
It is.
I mean, it is. It's amazing. The situation that Tucker is. I mean, and then he admitted it.
Jesus.
Because he really thought he was in the right.
He thought he was putting himself.
Yeah, I'm gonna get in front of it.
But he
kind of buried himself. He has 7 days to come up with a
reasoning.
Yeah, I don't want to say an excuse, but I guess a legal way to get $79 million. So I'd imagine his lawyer, his agent, and his lawyer are working very hard for the next 7. He ain't sleeping.
So, who's his agent? Sexton.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sexton is on overdrive right now.
Because that's also Sexton didn't do anything, so he's the biggest loser in all of this. He misses his cut, or does he get that?
Nope.
I guess he doesn't. He didn't get paid up front.
Nah, he probably got a little bit of a signing bonus though.
Oh yeah, I mean he doesn't need it.
He's
gonna be.
He's all right.
Financially, he should, like, if he was smart and savvy with his money, he should be okay.
Yeah.
But he's leaving $70 million on the table.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, go ahead and sleep tonight on that.
I would be kind of upset.
I had plans for that money.
Yeah, I didn't.
That was already in the
night.
bank to me.
No.
Like, oh, I can make this bet. I got $70 million coming.
I'm not sleeping right now.
LSU dodged a bullet, huh?
Oh,
no, I don't think LSU was ever.
I agree.
I don't think that was ever serious.
That wasn't real smoke.
I mean,
that was fake news.
That was Sexton being Sexton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Throw LSU out there. That always works.
That was Mel Tucker getting $90 million.
Yeah.
I mean, really?
Damn, he just pissed on it.
Oh, I mean, it's
cooked.
Damn, that kind of sucks.
He needs to get on that. Speaking of losing $80 million, they need to find that plane. Yeah. Where's that jet,
bro?
Is Mel Tucker on it? That's what he needs to find.
I'd want to be.
Yeah.
If I was him, I'd be on it.
But that's what
I'll fly it.
Yeah, nobody's in it.
Things worth $80 million. I get my $80 million back.
I don't believe anything that's coming out about it.
Either.
I don't believe anything coming out of Washington.
Me either.
That thing's
believe in any of that stuff.
Been hacked. They said there's the Chinese computer chip in it.
Oh well, yeah, that thing's.
So that thing could have been taken over and be just air hogs, just being flown by a drone. Yeah. But losing $80 million is tough.
Damn, I know how he feels.
Yeah, the U.S. government, Mel Tucker, and what is it, Lockheed Martin? Like that plane's $80 million. I don't know how you don't have a. It doesn't have a GPS on it.
Not only that,
air tag.
Is it flying like airspace? I mean, like that.
They're asking the public to look in the sky for it. They have no clue where it is.
So I'm supposed to see a jet.
I'm supposed to take care of it.
I mean, like, I'm flying a 747 across the country, and I got to worry about this.
They grounded a bunch of planes in that area.
I would think so.
Because it's on the loose.
So is this jet does it have weapons on it or we?
It's an F-35, which is an $80 million plane, and the military budget is, $80 billion?
Yeah.
And we're like, one got away. Y'all start looking for it. Like, no, I don't work for you. No. I pay you for this.
Oh, they found debris of it.
No, that's fake.
Yeah, right. That is fake. That's fake.
That thing is out there.
No doubt.
This is a stealth jet. So
we're going to use it against us.
How are we supposed to find a stealth jet? Like regular people.
Not lose it.
Yeah.
Did you see them fly the old school, like the stealth bomber? Do you remember those?
Hell yeah.
That they flew over Kansas City. I think they've only made 12 of them in the world.
They're unbelievable. That's the plane.
That's the plane. That's what I think of.
That's the one.
But I didn't know if they were that rare. Huh?
I say you can't hear that thing coming.
No.
You don't even see it.
Well, that's what the people were. Because the people at Kansas City were like, I wanted the flyover. Some people were saying it was underwhelming because you couldn't hear anything. It was so quiet. Usually it's like, and this thing was like whisper quiet. Vince going over the stadium, and one guy, somebody goes, "Oh my God," because it's the size of a football stadium, and it's just that thing's flying in the air, not making any noise. We don't know anything.
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know.
They got so many secrets, dog.
Oh, bro.
I know.
And they ain't telling us.
No,
they ain't telling us.
Need to know basis. Y'all look for that plane.
Don't ask, don't tell.
All right, have a good day out there. Hit a like, share, comment. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning, Wednesday edition. We'll talk to Jacques in studio here at Click Here Digital. Make sure and give us a like, share, and follow. Follow the Culotta Show on social media at Culotta Show. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
Hey, Chino. Put my headphones up, bro. Right there. Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time. It's the hottest show around, we ain't gotta flex. Call up G, we get it done, we earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in, where they going next. Throw up the L's, now we lit, band playing neck. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live, mic'd up for show. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show, yeah. Yeah, Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in